Hi there, I'm Michelle the Painter, and this is Cookies and Canvas for Kids. All right, so in honor of the 4th of July weekend that's coming up, we're going to be painting fireworks over the carnival, and I'm going to be eating my delicious apple cinnamon sugar cookies. So let's paint our canvas and eat our cookies. All right, so for the materials today, I'm going to be using a Stretch and Prime 16 by 20 canvas, which you can, of course, switch up the size, but that's what I'm going to be using. I'll be using acrylic paint today. The colors are titanium white, cobalt blue, Mars black, fluorescent green, chrome yellow, fluorescent orange, and fluorescent purple. But you can certainly change up those colors. That's what I'm going to be using. I'll be using 3 brushes today. I'm going to use a 1/2 inch wide bristle brush, a number 8 round brush, and a number 1 round brush. And I will refer to these as small, medium, and large during the painting process. Of course, you can switch those up, but that's what I'm going to be using. You're going to need a cup of water for washing your brushes, and you'll need a paper towel for drying your brushes. And down below the video in the description, I'm going to be providing you with a couple of things. One of them is a link where you could purchase this entire paint kit with the exact colors and brushes that I'm using. It's affordable, it's convenient, and all that good stuff. Also down there, you're going to find a free downloadable image of the final painting. So you can print that and use it as a visual reference as you go along. And there's also written step-by-step instructions that you can certainly print and use as we go along. But the most important thing that's down below is a delicious recipe for my apple cinnamon sugar cookies that I creatively put to look like a firework. And that is all we're going to need today. All right, so what we're going to do for the first step is we're painting the sky. I'm going to be using my big bristle brush, and I'm going to use 3 colors. I'm using black, blue, and white, and I'm going to be painting from left to right, and I'm going to have my sky dark at the top, and it's going to get lighter and lighter and lighter as it comes down towards the horizon. To know how far down you're going to go, we're going to just make a couple of marks on our canvas. So I'm going to pick up a little bit of blue, and I'm going to come up maybe about 3 or 4 inches on the left-hand side and make myself a mark. Then I'm going to use my brush as a ruler, and I'm going to say, okay, that's how high that one is. And then I'm going to come over to the other side and make another mark at the same spot. Now I know that these 2 sides are pretty even, and I don't want to go any further than that. So I'm going to pick up, to start my sky, I'm going to pick up black and blue on my brush at the same time. And I'm going to start up at the top. It's going to be super, super dark because the black will overpower a lot of that blue. But as I come down the sky, I'm not going to pick up black again. I'm just going to pick up blue. And what's going to happen is I'm not washing my brush. My sky will naturally get lighter and lighter because the black will work its way off of my brush. You'll notice that I paint my edges of my canvas too. So if I have my brush going on the edge, that's what I'm doing. I'm not using a ton of paint because I do want this to dry fairly rapidly. So just know that if you do want it to dry on the faster side, just don't use a ton of paint. But you definitely need enough paint where it's going to flow nice for you. I just now am starting to pick up blue and white on my brush, and what's going to happen now is my sky is going to get lighter and lighter. So my goal here is just to make this sky like a really awesome, clear summer night sky where, you know, the fireworks are going to be the star of the show. There's not going to be any clouds in the sky or any, you know, really invasive clouds. You could have yours all one color, or you could have yours with a little bit of the lightness as it comes down towards that horizon, or where we're going to put the land. I'm going to use a little bit more white because in my head, this is, you know, it would get a little bit lighter as it goes down towards the ground, because maybe there's lights at the carnival or whatever, you know, fun place we're going to be painting down at the bottom. They would have lights down there. So that's going to illuminate the sky at the bottom. So that's where I'm going, why I'm making it a little bit lighter as it comes down. Now I'm going to be using definitely more white so it can get whiter and lighter as it comes down. And I'm not going super fast because I want to make sure that I, you know, really blend it all in nicely together. And as I'm finishing up here, what I will probably end up doing is giving it one last gentle brush across the whole thing without adding any more paint to my brush. And what this is going to do is, one, it's going to fill in any spots that you might have missed, and it's also going to help you blend it, and it will also work out any really thick spots that you might have. Sometimes with those thicker spots, if they take too long to dry, it might, you know, cause you some, you know, not big issues, but it's just easier if it dries kind of at a consistent speed. And by doing this, you're kind of getting all that paint to go into a nice even layer. And then once you're done with this, we are going to use the same brush for the next step, but you're going to want to wash it and dry it in preparation for the next step. All right, so what we're going to do for the next step is we're painting the water. We're going to use the same colors that we used in the sky, which are black, blue, and white. And this time we're going to work from the bottom up. And I want you to stay about an inch away, or half of an inch, just a little space you want to keep that you don't paint in between your water and your sky. So again, I'm going to start with black and blue at the same time on my brush. And I know that I don't have as much of a distance to go as I did here. So maybe you just don't use as much paint on that first go around, I guess. And now I'm just going to pick a blue, and I'm going to work my way up that water. And again, I don't have far to go, so I'm not going to make it too dark. And then I'm going to start adding a little bit of blue and white to my brush. And now I'm going to add some more of that white, just to kind of get it to really blend in. And you may notice as I'm getting these to blend, instead of having solid lines like this, what I end up doing is I back the color I'm working with, I back it into the previous section, so that way they really blend nice together. And you can imagine this to be a lake or a pond or the ocean or a river, whatever waterway you want it to be. This all works out the same. People have fireworks and carnivals next to any type of waterway. So you just can imagine it to be whatever you would like it to be. And then we are going to use the same brush for the next step, but you're going to want to wash it and dry it. So once you get your water on here, you can wash and dry that big brush, take a bite of whatever snack you're having, and get ready for the next step. All right. So what we're going to do for the next step is we're painting our land, which is going to be this last little sliver of canvas that you have unpainted. I'm going to be using my big brush, and I'm going to be using only black paint. So when you do this, you're probably going to run into wet paint here and wet paint here. Don't worry about it. It's just going to work in. It's going to make it look like it belongs together. So if you end up with a couple of little gray spots, it makes it look even better. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my big brush. I am going to kind of squish it on the side of my palette in the paint. So what happens is now I have all of my bristles under control. So that way they're not, you know, all splayed out like this. So I've squished my brush in my paint, and I'm going to go right in the area that doesn't have paint, and I'm just going to go kind of left to right. Just kind of getting the paint on there. And then once I have it through that whole section, Now I want to get it to make sure that it matches the water nicely, and then I'm going to give myself an uneven kind of line at the top. So I'm squishing it in my palette again, and then I'm going to just go a little bit slower down where it hits the water. It doesn't have to be a perfectly straight line, but you definitely want to make sure that you cover all of your unpainted canvas. So I'm just going a little bit slower to make sure I cover all of that canvas. And again, if you run into a little bit of wet paint, who cares? Just get it to blend in with that black that you're using. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do an uneven top to my land. So what I'm just going to do is I'm going to take my brush and I'm just going to kind of wiggle it as I go along. I'm just kind of pushing it up a little bit in some spots. Some spots maybe you want it really tall, maybe some spots you want it a little bit lower. And by just kind of pushing it up and just wiggling it a little bit, what happens is it's going to give me this rough edge at the top. You could do dots, you could like sit here and just kind of dot it, but I'm just going to take the brush and just push it up, and that's going to give me a nice textured look at the top. And I need to make sure I cover all of my canvas, so I don't want any unpainted canvas after this step is done. And again, if you ran into some wet paint, that's okay. It's just going to make it look a little bit lighter at the top, and that looks great. And then we're going to use this same brush for the next step, but you got to wash it and dry it in between. And of course, take a bite of your snack too. And then we'll go on to the next step. All right, so this is a really fun step. What we're going to be doing is we're using our large bristle brush and we're doing the glow to our fireworks. So I don't know if you've ever inspected a firework in the air before, but what happens is when it kind of explodes, the color of the explosion kind of casts a glow on the air and the elements around it. So we're going to create that glow first, and then later we'll put the sparks on top of it. So the colors that I'm going to be using are fluorescent green, yellow, fluorescent orange, and fluorescent purple. And I'm going to kind of use them in an order where I don't really have to wash my brush too much. So I'm going to go yellow to green, then I'm going to wash my brush and go orange to purple. But you could certainly wash your brush in between colors, so it's totally up to you. I'm not using white. This way, what's going to happen is these colors are going to be see-through, and that's what's going to make it look like the glow. So right now I just have yellow on my brush. I'm going to choose to do one up here, and you don't have to do any fancy brush stroke. You just want to get the paint on there. It's going to change color as it dries. It'll get darker, so just know that that's going to happen. I'm going to have my roller coaster somewhere over here, so I'm going to put a little bright yellow one right here. Now I'm just going to pick up some green. You could take it, if you have a lot of paint, just wipe it off on your paper towel. I'm going to go into green next, and I think maybe I'll do a green one down here, and then maybe I'll do a partial one, I don't know, up here. Maybe this one's bigger because it's higher in the sky. And then I'm going to wash my brush because I know that green, going from green to orange will make it like a brownish color, and I don't want brown in my fireworks. So I'm going to go to orange next. I'm going to do a really huge one up here in the corner. So I've got a lot of that orange, that fluorescent orange on my brush. And then I'm going to do maybe one, I don't know, maybe one about here. This one's going to be a little bit smaller. And then I'm going to do some purple. So again, if you have a ton of paint on your brush, you can just wipe it off on your paper towel. Or you could wash it if you wanted to, but I'm going to opt not to wash it. I'm going to do a big one over here with the purple color. And you can make these as big as you want. You could make it like it's the grand finale. I'm going to have a couple that are shooting up over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of get my glow to do something like this. And then we are going to switch brushes to our small pointy brush after this step. So once you've got the glow onto your fireworks and into your sky, you can put the big brush away in your water cup, take a bite of your snack, and get your small brush out and ready for the next step. All right, so what we're going to do for the next step is we are painting the silhouettes of our rides. I'm going to use my small brush, and I'm going to be using only black paint. And a couple of tips for you as you're going into this painting process, because you're going to want to have skinny lines. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my small brush and I'm going to add a touch of water to my black paint. And what that's going to do is it's going to make it like an ink consistency, and that makes it really easy to make skinny lines that have nice flow to them. So that's one tip. The second tip is you can take your brush and you spin it on the side of your palette in the paint, and that'll make it nice and pointy. And the third most important step or tip is don't push hard on the canvas. So if you push hard, you're going to get a wide line. If you just use the tip, you'll get a nice skinny line. So I'm going to do my roller coaster first, and how I'm going to do this is with a long swirling line. I need there to be a place for the people to get on the roller coaster, and I need a place for them to get off of the roller coaster. So all I'm concerned about is hitting my land in two places, one where they get on and one where they get off. And then I'm just going to have fun with making loops and, you know, long areas for them to go, whoa, down, or holy tamale, look how high we're going. So you can really make it as fun as you want. You can go around the firework, anything you want. So here we go. I'm going to start over here, and I'm going to start by climbing the hill, climbing the hill. My paint is running out. Climbing the hill, and he's going far down. And then, oh my God, they're going to go into these super duper loopy sideways turns. And then, oh my God, they're climbing. And guess what they're going to do now? They're going to flip upside down. And then they're just going to kind of keep rolling, pulling all the way. And I need them to get off somewhere, right? So I'm just going to kind of make this come, I don't know, over here. And then I'm going to bring it down, and that's where my guys are going to exit. So I'm just going to, before I put my braces so my roller coaster doesn't fall down, I'm going to go back and just clean up any of my little lines that might not be nice and smooth. And then once I have all those lines nice and smooth, now what I have to do is I have to make vertical lines that go from the roller coaster to the ground. And you don't have to put these vertical lines on every single piece. Like when it goes way up in the air, you don't need to have a long vertical piece there, but you want to have some to make sure the roller coaster doesn't fall over. So here I go. I think I'm going to have maybe a couple here, and they're going to just follow the roller coaster up to maybe about there. Then I'm definitely going to put some on this piece here. And all I'm really doing is adding braces to my roller coaster so it doesn't fall over. And I'm just bringing them right down to the ground. You can even have some where you can see it through the other piece. So I can just kind of do this. And you just want to make sure you kind of keep them vertical. You don't want to slant them. So if you have to step back and just make sure your head is on straight, and and it's not going slant. I think I want this one to come up here, maybe this one here. And you can have fun with this. I think I'm going to have some here. They don't have to all be the same distance away from each other. They don't all have to be the same thickness, because maybe the engineer had them, had one spot sturdier than the other. So I'm not a roller coaster engineer. Mine might fall over for all I know, but we're going to hope that it stays up. I think maybe I'll put one in through here. Maybe this one goes all the way up on the other side, supporting that. So really, wherever you think it needs to have some kind of stability, you can certainly add your own little lines here. But when it's done, it ends up resembling a roller coaster. So you can have fun with that. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do a Ferris wheel. You might find that you don't want to do the Ferris wheel, or you don't want to do the roller coaster. Maybe you want to do, I don't know, Cinderella's castle or Harry Potter's castle. But I don't think it's called Harry Potter's castle. I know there's a better name for it. But
Gauss Maxima.
But, you know, you can really have fun with whatever you want. I think for my Ferris wheel, I'm going to actually use the bottom of a cup to give me a nice, no, you know what? I'm just going to go for it. I'm just going to make myself a circle. And if it's not a perfect circle, I'm okay with that. So I'm going to have it close to the ground, but I'm not going to have it touching the ground. And I'm just going to make myself a circle. Maybe yours turns it a little bit into an oval. That'll just make it look like we're looking at it from the side or something. There we go. Mine's not a perfect oval. I'm okay with that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a dot in the center. And I'm going to make two relatively thick lines coming down at a diagonal. These are going to be the braces for my Ferris wheel. And then I need to make some little spokes in between. So these are going to be, I'm going to try and make these a little bit thinner lines. So I'm just going to kind of make from that center point, I just make a line across the center. And then if you want diagonal lines, you know, even more, you can certainly make more, but that's up to you. And then if you want there to be to see the little chairs or something, you can certainly just have some fun and do like a line, a vertical line and a little seat kind of thing in some of the spots, wherever you think you might be able to see them. So something like this. Maybe that one's there. Maybe this one hangs over this side. So you can have fun with it. And you could do any kind of rides that you want. And that's all we're going to do for that step. We're going to use our medium brush for the next step. So have a bite of your cookie, get your medium brush ready, and we'll see you in a minute. All right. So what we're going to do for the next step, we're going to be using our medium brush, the medium round brush, and we're going to be doing the sparkly parts of the fireworks. I'm sure there's a much more technical term for it, but we're going to call it the sparkly part. So this is like the explosion that comes out of the center of the firework. So for color-wise, how I'm going to do this is whatever I did for the base color, I'm going to do that plus white on my brush at all times. So I'm going to go for my yellow one first, and I'm just going to pick up yellow and white at the same time. And the trick here is you want to know where the nucleus is, or the center of the firework. So for me, well, we'll do this little one here because you can see the whole thing. So my nucleus I'm going to have, you know, in the center. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do quick flicks that almost have a little curve to them. And when I'm doing it, my head tells me gravity is going to take over. So I'm going to have some shooting up, but they also are going to come down and they're going to like fall. We're going to have like little sparkles falling from the fireworks. So here we go. I have a lot of paint and I don't push hard. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just kind of do these flicks. They're going to come out of that center. That's where the explosion is happening. And now that I have them on here, and they don't all have to connect to the center, I've got some going over my roller coaster, which is awesome. Hopefully nobody's going to get hit by the little sparks. Now I'm going to just pick up some more white, and I'm going to make little polka dots in the middle of my firework. That's going to add to the explosion part. And you can even put like these little sparks that are coming off of the ends of some of those fireworks. So have fun with it. I'm going to do this one over here because I'm still on yellow and white. I'm going to say my nucleus is somewhere about here. So that's where all of my explosion is going to come out from. So again, I'm kind of doing these curved little lines, and they don't have to be the same length. You can have some longer than others. You can imagine this again to be the finale of the firework display. So if yours ends up super huge and has lots of life and lots of sparks and all kinds of activity in it, that's awesome. Maybe your fireworks, they go cross over one another. So it's totally up to you. Maybe you do all purple ones. I just picked up white. I'm doing the little sparkly explosion in the middle. And then I'm going to do some some additional white little brighter spots along the edges. My next one, I'm going to do my green and white. I am going to wash my brush in between each color palette just so I have a nice solid one for the next. So I'm picking up green and white, and I'm going to do the same thing. This is my nucleus, so I'm just going to get those sparks and activity to just kind of shoot out of the middle of that. And again, you can have it as big as you want. I am leaving some of that glow visible so you can still see it. So I'm not covering it 100%. I just picked up a little bit more white. So I'm going to make my white sparkle dots in the middle, and then maybe I'll make these couple that are just shooting out over, you know, on the sides, and maybe mine goes right in front of my Ferris wheel too. I have another green and white one up here with my nucleus is off of my canvas, so I know that they're all going to kind of come out of that spot. And again, I'm just kind of having fun with this, making it as vibrant as I want. I don't overpaint it, which means I'm not going to sit there and put, you know, 9,000 of the same painting stroke in the same spot, because I like this to all look like they're individual sparks and stuff. I just picked up white so I can add my little sparkles up at the top, and then maybe a couple little, you know, rogue ones that are just kind of letting loose and fall into the ground. I'm going to wash and dry my brush and do my orange ones. So again, orange and white. So whatever color that base color was, just pick up that plus a little bit of white. My nucleus is here, so that's where all of my explosion is going to come from. And it might end up kind of looking like a flower initially, but once you start adding these little shoots, it's so much fun. I mean, you could sit here and just keep adding to your fireworks, and it just, the more you put on there, the better it looks. So, and I've just picked up white so I can put the little mark in there. And you can, you know, maybe this is what you dream of a 4th of July party to be, or, you know, at the end of the summer, everybody goes to the festival, and they have, you know, at the end of the weekend, they do these great firework displays. It can be really, you know, whatever you want. Maybe your dad does fireworks on your birthday. I don't know. You know, it's all different kinds of, you know, experiences for people. So you make this into whatever, you know, fun and festive experience of fireworks that you can imagine it to be. And I'm just going to continue to finish this one. I'm adding those little sparkle dots. I just added white to my brush, and then maybe we've got these little ones coming out, you know, and falling to the ground. You know, they don't have to be connected, having them, you know, have a little life of their own. Now I'm going to wash and dry my brush and do the purple ones. So it takes a minute because you've got to, you know, wash and dry your brush in between colors, but it's so much fun when you get it all done and you see, there's my nucleus, when you see it all, you know, alive and it's all exploding on your canvas, and it's a super fun thing to paint, and it's a really fun thing to look at once you've got it all on here. And, you know, it's just about having fun, having these, you know, massive, beautiful, bright things just exploding on your canvas. I'm going to pick up some white now and do some little polka dots in the middle. And then, oh, it's thundering out. Oh my gosh. I don't know if you could hear that or not, but it's thundering out. It's really loud. Maybe Mother Nature is making her own firework display tonight. I've got these couple other purple ones I'm going to do down here. So purple and white is my color combination, just to get these on here. And these two could overlap one another because they're right next to each other and they're the same kind of pattern. And again, I'm not covering up that glow too much. This is just meant to be the brighter pieces on top of the glow. And I can still, even though these ones are shooting up, I can still have some little sparkly things coming out of them. So just know that these two can sparkle just like the other ones. And then we're going to use this same brush for the next step. So once you've got your fireworks exploding as much as you want, you can wash and dry this medium brush and get ready for the next step. All right, so what we're going to do for the next step is we're doing the reflection in the water of the fireworks. So I'm going to be using my medium brush, and I'm going to use the same colors that I used up here. So I'm using yellow, green, orange, purple, and white. And the trick here is you don't really have to do much other than try and place them in a good similar spot. They're going to be smaller because we've only have this much area as opposed to this much area. So we're just really looking to get kind of a similar placement and height ratio. So all of these three are kind of the same height. These two are going to be definitely down towards the bottom of the canvas, and then these three are going to be somewhere in the middle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use orange and white to make this one. I'm going to do this one first because it's kind of the biggest one, and I might work my way, you know, oranges. I don't know what color order I'm going to go in, but I don't think it really truly matters as long as you can kind of figure out where they go. So I have my medium brush. I'm picking up orange to start. I know this one's going to come here, but I don't want to put it too high up. I just really want a little sliver of it down in the water. I'm going left to right and just swiping a couple of little streaks in my water. That's all I'm going to do for that one. So now I want to do this one because I have those colors on my brush. So I know it's about almost halfway between the top of here and here. So I'm going to come directly down and go about halfway between the bottom of here and just make a couple of little swipes with my orange and white on my brush. That's all I'm going to do. And then I'm going to wash and dry my brush. Now I'm going to go, maybe I'll do my yellow and white ones. So I'll do this one next. And I know that this one is closer to my land than this. So oh my gosh, that was some thunder. I don't know if you can hear that, but that was a loud one. So I'm going to try and make sure I get this done before my lights go out. So I know that this is lower than this. So opposite here, it's got to be closer to the land. So I'm going to put yellow and white on my brush. I'm going to come directly below here, and I want to make it closer to my land than that one. So again, I'm just going to kind of put a little yellow and white, and that's all I'm going to do. I need to get my other one here, and this one is almost at the same height as this one. So I know that in my water, I can kind of just go directly across, and that's where I'm going to put that one. So yellow and white. Make sure it's kind of wide because that's a pretty big one. And then I'm going to wash and dry my brush. So really it's just a couple of left to right swipes. And that does it as long as we've got it, directly below it and kind of in the right height, we're good. I'm going to do my purple and white one next. So I'm putting purple with a little bit of white on my brush. I'm going to go directly below this. I know it's a little bit higher than my orange one. So when I come down straight, I'm going to make it a little bit closer to the bottom of my canvas than that one. So I've got my purple and white, and I'm making sure I can still see a little bit of my water, my blue, underneath it. And that's all I'm going to do for that one. I'm going to still do my purple ones because I have purple on my brush. And these two are going to be about the same height as this yellow one, but they touch my land. So I can make them as tall as my yellow one. So I'm going to just go left to right and just make a couple of swipes. Left to right. And I don't want them to go much farther than this. And then I am going to wash and dry my brush. And I have my green ones left to go. So wash and dry my brush. I'm going to pick up green and white. I'll do this one. It's no taller than these ones. So green and white. And it's not touching my ground. So I'm going to go a little bit away from my ground. I know it's shorter than my orange one. So I'm going to just kind of put a little hint right here. A little green and white. And then this one I'm coming straight down. And I'm going to get a little sliver of it at the bottom of my canvas. So I don't need much here. Just a little tiny bit to tell you that that's the reflection of that one. And that's all I'm going to do for that step. I am going to use my tiny brush for the final step. So when you get done doing that, wash and dry your tiny brush and get ready for the last step. Did you see that go out? I thought the camera was already off, but I think you guys just saw my lights go off. All right, well, we're gonna get ready for the next step with or without lights. All right, so what we're gonna do for the final step, which is the final step of any painting, is to sign it. I usually sign mine in the bottom left or the bottom right. I think I'm gonna sign this in the bottom right. And I am going to use my small brush. I'm going to use black paint. Let me get my little water cup out of the way. I'm going to do mine with my initials. You could do yours with your full first name. You could do it with the date. You could do it with a symbol. Whatever you want, you can certainly make it your own. This is your mark. And that is going to conclude this painting. I hope you enjoyed the process. I hope you loved your cookies. I'm on to cookie number 2 right now, just for the record. And I look forward to painting and eating cookies with you again sometime.